If you've been following my channel recently, you'll likely know I've done quite a lot on solar PV and battery storage. Well, this video, I'm going to tell you the 5 things that you really should know before thinking about putting any PV panels on your house. Overspecking your panels is probably one of the most important things that you can do. Most people assume a 5 kilowatt inverter needs 5 kilowatt of panels. But if you do this, you'll rarely see 5 kilowatts. In fact, probably only 1 or 2% of the whole year will actually hit the full potential of those 5 kilowatt panels. In fact, some people might never see it hit its full 5 kilowatt potential because it really depends on the angle of the panels, where the sun is, and various factors. So you are better overspecking your panels. Now, there's a couple of reasons for this. Number one, inverters are designed to work at higher rates of load for efficiency. So until most inverters are hitting over 80%, they're not going to be at their full efficiency rating of what the inverter is rated at. So you need to have them under a high sort of load to make sure that efficiency is working. Now, I have microinverters. My system is using 410 bifacial panels and 290 watts of microinverters. Now, these microinverters and panels were specifically designed by REA Solar to work with the N-phase microinverters at that rating, and they deemed that doing it this way would probably only see between sort of 1 and 5% of clipping. That means when the microinverters are producing their maximum peak of 290 and the solar panels are producing a lot more. So over the course of the year, you're looking at a 5% clip rate, and that's for that oversize. Now, there's some other important things about oversize you need to consider. That is, as panels are getting dirtier, older, aging, they become less efficient. So your 410 panel, after 10-15 years, is no longer 410. Each panel has their own curve of what they're going to lose, but this is another reason why 5 kilowatt panels and 5 kilowatt inverters, you ain't going to get 5 kilowatts out of those 5 kilowatt panels in 10 years. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't stand outside my house and stare at my roof. In fact, I rarely stare at my roof. In fact, now I do actually stare at my roof. Now I've got solar panels, admiring how good looking they are and how much nicer they look on my house. I know I'm a little bit strange, but I don't mind the look of solar panels, which is another reason why I don't get the in-roof system. So now, a lot of people don't want the solar panels sat on top of the roof, they want them sat in the roof, and I understand why you might want that, but you need to bear in mind an in-roof system is less efficient. This is because the airflow can't get under the panels with wind and keep them cool, especially on a hot day. So you might find that your panels, if they're rated at 410, will not produce 410 watts because they are overheating. They're not efficient when they're really hot. Panels don't like getting super warm. So bear that in mind when putting an on-roof system, that you might have to pay attention to the last point we had about really overspecking the panel so it gets their full system performance. Now, another point to have is make sure you click subscribe to this channel and follow the channel, because there's loads of videos about solar, battery storage and reviews of various systems. Now, a lot of installers install bird guards as standard, and I've heard some installers tell customers that bird guards aren't needed. Now, I'm telling you now, if you think that you don't have a bird problem now, consider getting a bird guard anyway, because birds like to nest where they can nest, and if they see a lovely solar panel they can nest underneath, they will nest under there even if you don't think you've got a bird problem already. If you definitely think you've got a bird problem, then you already are getting bird guards. Now, there's a couple of benefits of bird guards that people might not have considered. One, if you live near lots of trees, the leaves might get behind the solar panels, get stuck on any cables and snag on the rails, and also cause your panels to overheat, get warm and be less efficient at certain times of the year. There's other things to consider, which is when you are considering a bird guard, make sure you get a bird guard that has lots of holes in it and allows airflow under the panels, because again, you might have an efficiency problem. If the panels are completely blocked off, you're going to basically stop that airflow. So make sure you consider getting a bird guard that allows good airflow underneath the panels to allow them to breathe. Now, another point that people might not have thought about bird guards is it doesn't just stop birds, it stops other pests. So rats, mice, anything else that might get underneath the panels, nest and possibly chew your cables, which could cause real problems with your panels. Using all the solar power you generate is probably one of the most important things that you can do. Now, we're going to move on to batteries in a bit near the end of the video, but let's just think about if you're using very minimal import, you think that you're using all the possible solar that you're generating, you're still likely going to export some. It's in possible not to export a little bit of energy. And it's also likely, if you're still connected to the grid, you're going to be importing energy, especially if you don't have a battery. You'll be using imported energy overnight. Or if, like me, you have an electric car or other means of large electrical uses like heat pumps, you might still be importing quite a bit of power. And this is where I get to the most important point, which is make sure you're on the right energy deal for you, for either how much you're importing or how much you're exporting. Now, I've done quite a lot of sort of videos around energy stuff, and I've listed all the information that I've researched about this at evnick.com/energy. There's some import tariffs, there's some export tariffs there, and there's a link to Octopus Energy. If you're thinking of switching to them, we split £100 between us. So one thing to consider is how long you'll be spending on your mobile phone. Now, this might sound like a really weird point to say, but whoever you are, whatever you're doing, if you've got solar panels and a battery system, you're going to be on your phone 24/7 because you're going to be checking the app, seeing what the solar panels are doing, texting your friends, comparing about how much better your system is than theirs, or what your panel's doing on a particular day. It's very, very sad, especially for my system with microinverters, because I can see each individual panel and what that's doing compared to the rest of the panels. It's really addictive. So bear that in mind. You're going to be losing a lot of spare time, being a little bit more addicted to your mobile phone. Now, if you are thinking about getting batteries, I've done a video here about 5 things I wish I knew about batteries before getting one of them installed.